50 voters. 30 of them vote blue, 20 vote orange, 60% against 40. Now we draw 5 districts, 10 voters each, and in every district the majority takes the seat. Draw the lines this way, and blue wins every single seat, 5-0. Same voters, same ballots. Draw the lines differently, and orange, with 40% of the vote, takes the majority, 3 seats to 2. Not one voter changed their mind, only the lines moved. And this is not just a puzzle on a grid. In Wisconsin in 2012, the party that won 48.6% of the statewide two-party vote walked away with 60 of the 99 seats in the state assembly. So here is the question. If drawing lines can quietly decide an election, how do you prove, beyond argument, that a map was rigged? Not with opinions about its shape, with mathematics. This is how mathematicians catch a gerrymandered map. So where does the word come from? Boston. 1812. Governor Elbridge Gerry signs a redistricting law, and one state senate district in Essex County comes out long, thin, and winding, wrapped around the county like something alive. On March 26th, the Boston Gazette prints that district as a monster, wings, claws, and a head with open jaws. The caption fuses the governor's name with the creature it resembled, the Gerrymander. The name stuck to the trick forever. One detail history mangled along the way. The governor said his name with a hard G, like Gary. The word that outlived him took a soft G instead. But here is what the cartoon gets wrong about the crime. Gerrymandering is not really about ugly shapes. It is about arithmetic, about who is counted where when the lines are drawn. And yet, for 2 centuries, the main test we had was the eye test. Does the district look weird? That is not a measurement. That is a feeling. We are going to need something sharper. Let us name the 2 moves every gerrymander is built from. Back to our 50 voters. Blue 60%, orange 40%. Start with a map with no tricks. 5 horizontal districts. 3 come out solid blue, 2 solid orange. 3-2, exactly in proportion. Move 1 is called cracking. Redraw the lines into vertical strips, and the orange region is sliced thin. A minority everywhere. 6 blue against 4 orange in all 5 districts. 40% of the votes, 0 seats. Move 2 is called packing, and now the lines work for orange instead. 2 districts get stuffed with blue voters. 10 blue here, 8 blue there. Landslides that win nothing extra. The remaining blue votes are cracked across 3 districts, 4 blue against 6 orange in each. Orange takes those 3, and with them, the majority. 40% of the votes, 60% of the seats. Pack your opponent into a few overwhelming wins, crack the rest into narrow losses. And notice the currency being spent. Wasted votes. Every vote cast for a loser, plus every vote a winner did not actually need beyond 50%. In this orange map, blue wastes 20 votes, orange wastes only 5. Which raises an idea. If a gerrymander is, at bottom, an imbalance in wasted votes, maybe we can measure it. One number. That idea nearly worked. If weird shapes are the symptom, maybe a shape score can be the test. The classic one is called Polsby-Popper. Take a district's area, multiply by 4 pi, and divide by the square of its perimeter. A perfect circle scores exactly 1. Our whole 5 by 5 state taken as one square block, scores 0.785. And a district drawn as a single thin strip, 0.436. Long and skinny scores low. So far, so plausible. Now watch the score fail. Here are two maps of the same little state. 15 blue voters, 10 orange. On the left, 5 row districts. On the right, 5 column districts. Every district on both maps is the same shape, a 1x5 strip. So Polsby-Popper gives every district on both maps exactly the same score. But the right map elects 2 orange seats, exactly in proportion. And the left map is the only map out of all 4006 possible maps of this state that shuts orange out completely. Identical compactness, opposite politics. A district can look innocent and be lethal. And real congressional maps have shown the reverse. Districts that look monstrous and are perfectly legal, drawn to satisfy voting rights law. Shape is neither necessary nor sufficient. The eye test fails even when you give it a number. So measure the imbalance. In 2015, a law professor and a political scientist proposed the efficiency gap. Subtract one party's wasted votes from the others, and divide by all votes cast. For our orange map, blue wastes 20, orange wastes 5. 20 minus 5 over 50. An efficiency gap of 0.30 in orange's favour. One clean number, and courts began to listen. Under equal turnout, that number hides a beautiful identity. The efficiency gap equals a party's seat margin above 1/2 minus twice its vote margin above 1/2. Seats minus 2 times votes. But look at what the identity quietly demands. Fairness, to this metric, means every extra percent of votes must buy exactly 2% of seats. Remember our no tricks map? 3 seats to 2, exactly in proportion? The efficiency gap flags it. 10% in orange's favour. A perfectly proportional map accused by the fairness metric. The courts hit their own wall. In 2018, the Supreme Court sent the Wisconsin case back on standing. In 2019, in Rucho versus Common Cause, it ruled 5-4 that partisan gerrymandering claims are political questions beyond the reach of federal courts. State courts stayed open, but the one-number era was over. And the deeper problem is mathematical. A single number judges a map against an ideal curve someone chose. What we actually want is to judge a map against every map that could have been drawn instead. Here is the reframe that changed the field. Every test so far judged a map against an ideal, a perfect circle, a perfect seats to votes curve. Someone has to choose that ideal, and every choice can be attacked. So stop comparing maps to ideals. Compare a map to every other map. Fix the votes people actually cast. Draw every districting the law allows. Same state, same rules, same voters. And count the seats each one produces. Then look at where the enacted map lands. If its outcome sits in the crowd, geography explains it. If it sits far out in the tail, someone put it there. The map itself becomes the evidence. There is just one problem. How many maps is every map? How many maps could there be? Let us count, literally. Take a 3x3 state, cut into 3 districts of 3 cells. Every legal map is on the screen right now. All 10 of them. You could check 10 by hand. 4x4, 117. 5x5, 4006. That is our toy state, still small enough to check every single map, which is exactly what we did. 6 by 6, 451,206. We recounted that one ourselves by brute force, and then it detonates. 7 by 7, about 159 million. 8 by 8, about 187 billion. 9 by 9, 706 trillion maps. And that is a bare grid of identical squares. For a real state built from real counties and precincts, researchers estimate the count for Iowa alone at around 10 to the 24th power. Check one map every microsecond, and you would still be counting when the universe is twice its current age. So you cannot list them. You cannot even count them exactly. But here is the escape. You do not need every map. You need a fair sample of them, and there is a beautiful way to draw one. Take a random walk. A random walk on maps works like this. Start from any legal map. Make a small random change that keeps it legal. Then another, and another. Wander long enough and the places you visit become your sample. The first idea, the flip chain, changes one cell at a time. Pick a cell on a district border and flip which district owns it. But watch what happens. Flip this cell and its old district snaps into two pieces. Illegal. Rejected. Flip an end cell instead and everything stays connected. But now one district has 6 cells and another has 4. Unbalanced. Rejected again. On a real map with thousands of precincts, most proposals die like this, and each survivor moves a single cell. Flip wanders like a glacier. The modern engine is called recombination. ReCom. Instead of one cell, it redraws whole districts. Pick 2 neighbouring districts and merge them into a single region. Now draw a random spanning tree of that region, a web of connections that reaches every cell, with no loops. Even this little 10-cell region has 209 different spanning trees. A classical result, the matrix tree theorem, counts them with one determinant. We want an edge whose removal splits the tree into 5 cells and 5 cells. Not every tree has one. Our first random tree does not. Neither does the second. So we do exactly what ReCom does. Throw them back and draw again. The third tree splits cleanly. Cut that single edge and its 2 pieces are the 2 new districts. Contiguous by construction. Balanced by construction. One step and entire boundaries have moved. This is ReCom, published in 2021, the engine inside the ensemble tools that courts now see. Now we can deliver a verdict. Our toy state is small enough that we do not even need the walk. We enumerated every one of the 4006 legal maps and asked each one the same question. With these exact voters, how many seats does Orange win? Here is the complete answer. About 3 maps in every 4 give Orange 2 seats. 696 give 1. 276 give Orange a 3-seat majority. And exactly 1 map, 1 out of all 4006, gives Orange nothing. It is the map from our opening. So when a map maker hands you that map and says, "This is just geography," the ensemble answers, if every legal map were equally likely, the chance of drawing a shutout is 1 in 4006. The map testifies against its maker. Now the real thing. North Carolina, 2012. The party with a majority of the statewide vote won just 4 of 13 congressional seats. Mathematicians at Duke drew 100 neutral maps and pushed the very same votes through every one of them. The typical neutral map elected 7 or 8 seats for that party. 4, the actual outcome, appeared exactly 0 times in 100. By the time the fight reached the courts, the ensembles had grown to roughly 24,000 maps, and the enacted plans still sat out in the tail. One more damning signature. Take the map enacted in 2016, the one that delivered 10 of 13 seats, and sweep the statewide vote share from 42.5 to 52.25%. It returns the same 3 to 10 split at every single value. The map did not respond to voters. The outcome was baked in. And none of this is hand-waving. A 2017 theorem says, on a reversible random walk, if the enacted map is more extreme than all but a tiny fraction epsilon of the maps you visit, that fact alone certifies significance at the square root of 2 epsilon. More extreme than all but 1 in 20,000 steps means a p-value at or below 1%. That exact argument was expert testimony in Pennsylvania. So is the outlier test the final word? 3 honest caveats. First, an ensemble answers exactly the question you pose. Every map inside it obeys criteria that somebody declared: contiguity, equal population, voting rights districts, county lines, compactness. Change the criteria and the whole baseline moves. The mathematics runs the comparison. It does not choose the rules. That choice belongs to law and to politics. Second, neutral does not mean proportional. In many states, one party's voters concentrate in cities, so even a blind fair process packs them a little, all by itself. Chen and Rodden demonstrated this unintentional gerrymandering with computer-simulated maps. The ensemble baseline absorbs geography, which is exactly why deviation from that baseline is so damning. But it means fair process and proportional outcome are different targets. Know which one you are defending. Third, a random walk speaks only for the territory it explored. Full exploration guarantees remain genuinely hard mathematics. The local theorem from the last chapter closes part of that gap. None of this weakens the verdict. It sharpens what the verdict means. Not, this map is unfair, but this map is not what your own declared rules produce. This is not history. It is happening right now. Ahead of the 2026 midterms, 10 states, holding roughly 42% of all seats in the House of Representatives, redrew their congressional maps in the middle of the decade, a line-drawing arms race. Texas redrew to gain as many as 5 Republican seats. California answered with Proposition 50, approved by 64% of its voters, to gain as many as 5 Democratic seats. Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, and Utah followed with new maps of their own, while attempts in Virginia, Maryland, Indiana, and Kansas failed. And over every one of those maps, someone is now running the mathematics you just learned. Ensembles, outlier tests, responsiveness signatures. In state courts, in independent commissions, in open tools that anyone can download and point at their own state. Writing in Science this year, the mathematician Emily Reel argued that to defeat gerrymandering, we must go back to the drawing board, redesigning the rules themselves with the mathematics in hand. Look how far the ladder climbed, from a salamander in a newspaper, to shape scores that lie, to one clean number that broke, to comparing a map against every map it could have been. Mathematics cannot tell a society what fair means. That choice belongs to voters. But once the rules are written down, it can tell you, beyond argument, when someone has cheated. And that is how mathematicians catch a gerrymandered map.